Welcome to today's online message from Long Eaton Oasis Christian Centre. We are a church at the heart of the community with a heart for the community. And we're so glad that you've joined us. We hope that you'll be inspired and encouraged today. Please don't hesitate to contact us. If you want to find out more, you can visit our website www.longeatonoasis.co.uk or you can direct message us.
Well, hello, it's great to be with you and thank you so much for joining us today. You know, we're meeting as a church at Derby Road and a church centre together, and we're excited as more and more people are joining us in worship together. And it's great for this opportunity as well to be able to meet and share online. And so it's good to be with you today, and thank you for being here. Going to be looking at a theme of stepping out in faith for the next few moments. You know, some years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Canada. Helen and I, my wife, and we visited a place called Toronto. And going there, you have to go and visit Niagara Falls, which is sort of a couple of hours away. And we went and visited the village near Niagara Falls and then the falls themselves. And wow, they were spectacular. I suppose you would call it really one of the wonders of creation, one of the natural wonders of the world. There are many, but definitely Niagara Falls is one of them. And so we went on a boat there, the Made in the Mist, that goes into their horseshoe-shaped falls, and as you go into the falls, the water falling down is of such an intensity. There's this mist, it's like rain. You have to wear these macs, and the force of the water creates like a wind. It's incredible. And as the boat goes up into the horseshoe, you can look up, and we're surrounded by this wall of water. It's outstanding, spectacular, and completely wonderful. And it was at that time I came across the story of a man called Charles Blondin. And Charles Blondin was an acrobat, and in the 19th century, his aim and his desire was to cross the Niagara Falls on a tightrope. Well, he did it. In 1859, he crossed the Niagara Falls, and it did actually that. It was a 1,300 foot long tightrope, 160 feet above the falls, and the actual rope itself was only 2 inches in diameter, and he crossed the falls on this rope. In 1859, 25,000 people turned up to watch him cross from the American side to go over to the Canadian side. I think they said they were taking bets on the fact that he wouldn't really survive. He'd plunge to his death. There was no safety ropes or anything like that. It was quite an incredible thing to do. And he crossed to the other side. Not only did he cross to the other side, but he came back on a number of occasions, and he went over on his own. On one occasion, he took a stove over his back and fried an egg in the middle of over the falls on the rope. Another occasion, he took a wheelbarrow across, backward and forward. He stood on his head in the middle. He did some incredibly crazy things, but what a skilled and spectacular thing to do. The crowds were in absolute awe, mesmerized really by his skill and showmanship and bravery. On one occasion, he asked the crowd if they believed that he could carry someone across in a wheelbarrow. Not only did they see him go across with a wheelbarrow, but he actually said to them, "Do you think that I could take someone across in this barrow and come to the other side?" And the crowd's reply was, "You can do it, Blondin. You can do it. Yes, we believe you can do it." And so his reply to that on this one occasion was, "Who will be my volunteer to jump in the barrow?" There was stunned silence. You could hear a pin drop, and no one volunteered. There were some big dignitaries in the audience, some celebrities of the day. Not one single person volunteered to get into the barrow. They believed, but they didn't trust him. They didn't trust the barrow, and they didn't trust the drop. They believed it, they saw what he did, and he was incredible, but nobody trusted him at the time. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 6, Paul the Apostle writes about belief and trusting in God. And this is what he has to say in Hebrews 11 verse 6, writing to the Christians, the Hebrew Christians scattered in the then known Roman world. He said, "Without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. It's impossible to believe, to please God without believing in him and seeking him, having faith in him. So really, faith is trust and me entrusting my life. It's trust, it's belief, to trust God, to trust in him and to believe in him, but then also to entrust my life, to seek him. Paul says to believe in God, but those to seek him also. And so this idea of faith is an idea of trusting, but entrusting also my life. So it's like me giving myself to God and giving over my life to God. If it's my belief in God and entrusting my life to God. And there's a number of things that, this type of faith, this type of trust and entrusting my life over to God, just like someone had to trust Blondin and then trust their life to him to get into the barrow, so too God calls us to entrust our lives and to give ourselves to him. It can be scary. Faith can be scary at times, and because it goes beyond what you and I can see. And that's one of the challenges of faith. We say sometimes seeing is believing, but Jesus said, greater are those who believe and don't see me. He was speaking to the disciples of the day. Well, they'll do even greater things. And which is quite incredible for you and I today, who believe and trust in Jesus, even if we don't physically have seen him. But it can be a scary thing, because faith and trust goes beyond what we can see. Have faith in God, and there'll be moments in our lives where we can't see a way forward, or we don't see this happening in my life, it getting better, and that can be quite a scary thing. Also, it can be scary because it goes beyond that which I and you can control. There are times in my life and your life that the circumstance is such that I can't achieve this. I can't make this happen. I can't make that go away. I can't see a way out of this. I can't make it to the other side. And so there'll be a sense where I can't see it and I can't control it. And that can make faith quite a scary thing at times. And even I know some Christians have found that to be a scary moment in our lives. So when we look at this idea of faith then, faith, trust in God, works on 3 levels. It works on a number of levels, and this can be the challenge from time to time when you and I can feel and face this challenge. First of all, the area of my thoughts and my thought life, and your thoughts and your thought life. When we come and we start to worry about something, and I think it over in my head, it's bringing that worry and that thought to God, and rather rehearse and go over in the cycle, is to give it over and to give it to him and give myself to him. That can be a challenging thing, but not only with my thoughts, on the level of my feelings. I don't feel that this is right, or I feel that this is the right thing to do. Sometimes our feelings can play tricks on us. If we're scared about something, or if we're really euphoric and it's really amazing. Feelings on their own are good, but we can't always trust them. And to give our feelings over to him as well in my faith, to trust God with the feelings of this ain't going to work out, or the feeling of this is amazing, but I'm not sure. And to give our feelings. So not only thoughts on the level of thoughts, but the level of feelings. But also the third way that faith it can work is in my actions, in my thoughts, my feelings, but then it comes and works through action. And with that, it's that step. There comes that moment when we have to step out and entrust, when we trust God to do something about it, to step out on it, to activate it, to do something in response to that which God is saying. As a church, we've been looking at the area of serving and stepping and activity and an action of giving my life. And there comes a moment where what I think and what I feel act. And so faith in God and trusting in God and believing and trusting my life to God works on these 3 levels of my thoughts, my feelings and my actions. And that can be a challenge. Not only can it be scary, it's working in all of those areas together. Sometimes, I can act on something, but my mind and my heart is somewhere else. And it's bringing all those things together, all those 3 areas, and giving that my life over to him. This is for your glory, for your encouragement, for your control, Father, for your Spirit to move through me and in me. I'm trusting you. So it can be scary and it can be a challenge, and working on those levels. But in these next few closing moments, just 3 things to add to that, whereby 3 ways our faith can be released. And with this, we're going to pray, and I hope this will help you today. And it's this, the first thing is that faith can be released in 3 ways. Number 1, it starts with a step. And the first area is we take a step. I take a moment. In the film Indiana Jones, I love the film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where Indiana Jones, the archaeologist, is looking for the chalice, the supposed chalice that Christ drunk from, and it's the Holy Grail, and he's looking for that. And in that film, he's being pursued by some others that are looking for the same chalice, and they're out to kill Indiana Jones. And so Indiana Jones runs and gets away and gets ahead of them in his pursuit of the chalice. And there comes a point where he's running through a tunnel to escape these attackers, and he comes out from he sees an opening. As he comes out the tunnel, he almost runs through it, and he sees that there's a big chasm below, and there's no bridge or no way of getting across, and he just stumbles back and thinks, how do I get across? There's no bridge. And then he thinks, faith, I need a step of faith. And falteringly, and he does, and there's this iconic scene where he steps out with his big boots, and he steps out, and as he takes that first step, rather than fall to his death, he stands and then begins to walk across on what looks like thin air. When he gets to the other side, he throws some sand or soil across, and as it scatters, it seems to land on an invisible bridge. And it's this idea of taking a step or a leap of faith. And it's a great picture in some ways of the Christian walk, and also the walk of faith and the step of faith in trusting and believing in God and finding God for the first time. Lots of people will say, I believe there's a God, but what about that first step of giving your life to God? And then as a Christian, stepping out in God. It sometimes takes steps. It feels like a leap, but be encouraged. Jesus said, faith, the grain of a mustard seed, can move mountains. And that first step, that little step, is like a mustard seed that can take us to a place in God as we trust him. And so it starts with a step. And then that can be quite scary at times, as it was for Indiana Jones in the film. But when you do take that step, it leads me to my second point, and it's this: God opens up a way, a path, or makes light at the end of the tunnel. When you do take that step, it starts with a step. When you do make that moment to trust God, to walk, to follow God, to rely on what his word says, to act upon something, to give your life to God for the first time, then he makes a way for us to follow him, to move ahead. It's light at the end of the tunnel, a path along the journey. One of the things that we've been looking at as a church just recently is the idea of stepping out in service, following a series called Serve. And one of the things I've been saying is this: that when I step out, God steps up. He makes a way, and he shows his power, his work of grace, mercy and power floods and comes through my life. And that's exactly what happens. So we see this in the Indiana Jones film, but we experience this in life. And the Bible is very clear and says that when we step out, God will step up. He is the one who makes a way for us. And this is so powerful and so true. And so he opens up a way. So we step out and he opens up a way and will make a path for us. And thirdly, as we step out and he opens up a way, he steps up. God steps up, which is quite spectacular. As that happens, God helps us along the way. That's the third thing that I want to say. He will help you along the way. As we step out, God steps up, but he also steps in. He helps us along the way. And this is amazing. There's a famous poem, and it's called Footprints or Footsteps. And it's the story of a person going through a trial in their life, and they're walking across by the seashore. The tide has gone out, and as they walk in the sand, their footprints are left in the sand, and they're going through a challenging time in life, and they say, God, if only you were with me. And God says, I'm walking with you. And they say, well, I only see one set of prints in the sand. And God then turns around and says, yeah, that's me. I'm carrying you. They're my prints. And this is the most amazing thing of all. When we release, when we step out, God will step up. He'll make a way, but he also will step in. He helps us along the way, which is absolutely incredible. God will carry you. He will carry me. Like Blondin could carry someone over in the wheelbarrow, God will carry you and carry up me along the way when I step out in him. Jesus said, I'll leave the Holy Spirit. When I go to be with the Father, I won't leave you alone. I'll leave the Holy Spirit to come and be with you and in you. He's the comforter, the counselor, the helper. And when he comes upon your life, you'll receive a power upon your life. Jesus said all of these things, they're in the New Testament, and he'll step in. So he calls us to step out. He will step up, and he also will step in to our lives. And that's how faith is released in and through your heart and life, as we trust in God. For you and I today, he's calling you and I to step out and trust him. Will you do that? Maybe for you it's for the very first time you're watching this time today, and you're thinking, I believe God, I believe in a God, but maybe it's time now to actually entrust your life to that God. Believing in him is one thing, but then entrusting your life. So trusting and entrusting is what is called faith, putting our lives in God's hands through his Son, the Lord Jesus Christ. Maybe for you today, that's the first time thing for you to do. For some of us watching today and listening today, it's that we are believers, we're Christians, we love God, we love Jesus, but we're facing something in our lives. And today it's a step. As you step out, God will step up, and perhaps he's going to step into your circumstance and your moment right now, and bring our thoughts, bring our feelings, and bring our actions, and entrust all of that to God on all of those levels, and he will make a way for you. God bless you.
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. Then you called my My sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, but you called me a citizen of faith.